I would
No,
like
it's not. It's 5 o'clock.
Tim, don't forget to start your recording.
Already did it, Jenny. Thank you.
Okay, see you later.
Thank you.
I love it.
Carol Carson is a glass artist and a painter who I met at a Pilchuck residency 8 or 9 or years ago.
Yeah.
And she's just one of these people who is an extremely gifted artist, and it doesn't matter what she tries, it turns out great. She's a very skilled drafts person. Her drawing is amazing. And I just like the way she thinks. It's anything goes. She'll try anything. She's very experimental. And it seems like her results are always just something very lively and very interesting. And what I really want to talk to her about is the fact that she works in paint and she works in glass, and how do those two disciplines come together in her mind, or do they? And does one inspire the other and vice versa? And Carol, you're one of the only people I know who is incredibly gifted in 2 different mediums. And I'd like to know how that happens in your brain.
Well, that was the nicest introduction I've ever gotten. Thank you. Now I feel like I have to live up to it.
I think that'll be easy.
I just want to say, I met Kim at Pilchuck, as she said, and she did the most beautiful typesetting project that I've ever seen. I've talked to many people about it. It's just gorgeous. If you haven't seen it, she needs to show it to you. It's just beautiful. I don't know where to start. I have painted all my life. I painted and drawn since I was teeny tiny. I went to school for painting at the School of Visual Arts in New York, and stopped going because I wanted to live in New York, and it was a matter of working and living in New York, or not being able to afford to live in New York and go to art school. So I stopped going to art school and lived in New York, and that was fabulous. I also had parents who said, what the heck are you going to do with art? How are you going to ever make a living at that? And I have an older sister who's an attorney. So there was that, you know, why can't you be like her? And so I took a 5-year break and went back to school for architecture, because that was, you know, connected to art. I have very spatial brain. I see things in 3 dimensions, and didn't know it until I went to school, and they said, you know, can picture. I have a really good sense of volume. I don't know what that does, but so yeah, so I started doing glass when I was in art school. So probably almost 40 years ago, a long time ago, I started doing stained glasses. I think a lot of people have started.
Oh yeah.
But when I was in architecture school, well, 2 things. I worked in a studio that was a renovated horse stable. These English Tudor buildings on Long Island. I went to the New York Institute of Technology. And so our studio spaces had really high ceilings, peaked in the middle. And when I was not doing my work drawing, I saw this blank wall and was like, I need to paint. So I was very well known at school because I was the only person who had a very colorful studio space, as opposed to, you know, pencil and ink drawings pinned up on the wall. And so I painted a lot in architecture school. The other thing that I did a lot of was little stained glass pieces. I used to build, and I don't have any pictures of them, but I used to build little models, little sculptures, I guess, out of glass. And I had a professor who approached me and said, I want you to do an installation piece, and in the building, and I ended up doing it was a year-long project. I did it with a fellow student, this guy Mike, and we designed a spider web for a 3-story stairwell, and it was made of steel cable, brass rings, and a glass weight. And then it had all these little glass captures in it. It was like things caught in the web, all these little sculptures that I had made. That was a fun project. We actually studied how spiders make webs. And if you don't know, there's actually a book on giving spiders different drugs and to see what they would do. Yeah, it was crazy. And of all the drugs that they gave them LSD, they gave them mushrooms, they gave them all. And this experiment was done in the 50s, late 50s, I think, or early 60s. The worst thing that they could give a spider that he could not build a web was, take a guess.
Weed.
Coca-Cola.
Weed.
That's very close. Coffee. Coffee. They can't do
The
it on
rest of it
caffeine.
sounded like Saturday night in Austin.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was fun. But I kind of went off the rails there. So I've always painted, and I feel like I've done glass for almost as long. So I just I don't know. I put the painting aspect into glass, I think. The pieces that you see, well, if Kim goes to, I don't know, where do you want to go?
Should we look at paintings first?
That's up to you.
Well, I'm
Carol,
not
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is that image or the painting behind you, that's a painting, right?
Yes.
What
Yes.
medium? And I did forgive me for actually.
Oil on canvas.
What is it?
Oil on canvas.
Oil. Is that what
Yeah.
you primarily work in, as oil?
I mix a lot of things. I tend to mix acrylic and oils and chalk. I like chalk a lot too. I also like cold wax medium. So I mix a lot of stuff.
I like how I can see your drawing in this, and I can see the fine lines, and I can see the care that you take with the lyricism of the line and how they layer up and all work together. And it reminds me of calligraphy without saying stuff. And it's just very elegant and really, Carol, I'm just blown away.
Beautiful.
Just
Well,
blown
thank
away.
you. The ones that are on the left, those 2 square ones on the left, are 4 feet.
4
I
feet.
saw
4 foot
that.
squares. Mm-hmm.
Kim, can you
Um,
do like a command plus and increase the size of that page? Just like on your computer, just do command plus and zoom in on it
Like so.
like that. Yeah, so we
Okay.
can see it a little bit bigger. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
And Kat, this is why I need to rework the website so that you can see each one individually. I don't think that you can at this point.
It depends on the layout. We can talk later if
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah, I need to work on my layout, change my layout.
It's very
But
cool.
yeah, these are 4 foot by 4 foot pieces, these 2, and then there's another one. The one next to it is, and I think I have the sizes, is 3 feet by 40 inches.
I can't seem to scroll
Yeah.
it. Hold on.
Kim, just do a command minus then and just
Yeah.
bring it down a little bit.
Hello.
You might be able to scroll side to side. Oops. There you
Oh, bear with me.
go. Okay.
It won't let me move it.
Are you on a, oh, there it is. See the arrow that just appeared on the left?
I saw the one on the left. Where's the one on the right?
Do a command
Oh.
minus.
Okay, here we
There it
go.
is. So yeah, the one that's on the left is another 4 foot by 4 foot painting. The
Wow.
one you talked about writing, the second one in,
Uh-huh.
I actually wrote and wrote and wrote over and over again, and I couldn't even tell you what I wrote, but it was just like, yeah,
I
stream
love
of
this one.
consciousness writing.
Yeah.
I love these oil sticks. I don't know if any of you paint or if you've ever used them, but I'm obsessed with them because you can literally write. And so you can see I kind of went a little crazy in the next couple of paintings where there's a lot of scribbling.
Is it very therapeutic for you? Is it something?
Very, very, very much. So I tried to lay these out. I told Kim earlier that this inspired me to work on my website. And so I was trying to add things and line things up. So it goes latest to earliest. So I tried to do it that way. So yeah, a lot of these are older paintings, starting from like, well, I don't know even what year you're up to. Some of them, the paintings I was able to date. So
Mhm. Yes. Some of these are 2014 to 2012.
yeah. I have a lot of paintings that I haven't taken pictures of either. So
There's the one that's on the wall behind you, isn't it?
yeah, it is the second one is the one that's on the wall behind me, and then the third one is the biggest one I've done of this grid series because I went to the School of Grids. This is what I painted all of these when I was in architecture school.
Wow.
I love the grids.
And the one that's on the right that you can't see the whole picture of it, it's actually 9 feet wide.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's in my sister's living room.
Oh my gosh.
And that was a funny painting because I painted that in a basement apartment. I have no idea how we got that in or out, but I painted it like I painted it vertically, standing on a little step stool with the intention of it being horizontal the entire time. But I was just like, yeah,
Right?
it was a big painting.
I can't believe this is student work.
Oh
You know? You know?
my gosh, some of them I look at and I'm like, oh, that's such student work.
I went too far. You know what this yellow and gray one reminds me of, Carol, is Amanda Simmons' work.
Oh, wow, thanks. I love her work. That painting is huge. That painting is 5 feet square.
Oh my
That's a
gosh.
5 foot square painting, yeah.
I can't even think that big, let alone actually work that big.
You know what? When you're in a studio and you have this enormous wall and you have all these people around you building things, you're just like, if you stretch this for me, if you build this for me, I will paint. I had I've told this story many times. My daughter will probably laugh as she overhears from the other room. But when I was in school, as I said, we were in this what used to be a horse stable. And so it was a second story of this beautiful old English Tudor building. And so the building peaked and the hallways were in the middle. So our studios were on one side, and on the other side, at the time, the studios weren't used. So I used to paint on this big wall because all of our desks were in the eaves. And I used to take my paintings and store them in the other studio because we had these deep window eaves that I could literally stand them up. And so I stored a lot of paintings there, and I was a poor person, so I just would paint over. If I needed to paint, I would just paint over the painting, do another painting. And I came in one day and 2 or 3 of my paintings were gone. And buildings and grounds people were notorious for taking our things and throwing them in the trash because it wasn't a 24-hour studio. We weren't supposed to sleep there, and we did all the time, and they always caught us. And so I thought, oh, they took my paintings. And a little while later, I was moving from one apartment to another, and I was actually going to share a house. I was moving out of this basement apartment that I was living in. and I was going to share a huge house with 5 other people. And I knew 4 of them, but I didn't know this 5th person. And she was the girlfriend who was a year younger than us in school, but she was a girlfriend of someone in my grade, my level of college. And so I was like, okay, cool. This is going to be 2 girls and four guys in this big house. And I didn't really know her. And she came up to me in the hallway. Her name's Pam. And she came up to me in the hallway and she said, I understand that we're moving into a house together. And I was like, yes, this is going to be great. And she said, I need to tell you something. I stole your paintings. I was like, what?
Oh,
She said,
no.
yeah, I stole your paintings. And her boyfriend, who is now her husband of many, many years, Gary, was and is an incredible woodworker. He learned it from his dad. And he built the most beautiful hand-carved frame for this painting that she still has in her house. And she's still a very, very good friend.
What a good
That's
college
pretty cool.
student.
Yeah. And it's not one that I have pictured here, but she recently gave me a picture, so I have to put it up there. But, yeah.
So Carol, I keep looking at these and I keep thinking about glass and painting
Okay.
and glass and painting. And this one that is the second one in, this looks
Yeah.
like powder to me. It
Wow,
looks-
no, that's oil on canvas.
yeah, I know
Yeah.
it's not glass, but it sure could be.
Wow. That's really, yeah, it could be. But so let me tell you. So the third one in is a painting. I have it here in my home. I call it The Guys. It's just The Guys. And if you go back to the glass page, I'll tell you a little story about this. So I did this painting years ago. Oh, I probably did it 30 years ago. If you scroll through all the glass to old stuff,
Like around here.
keep going, keep going,
going?
keep going. Yeah. Okay.
Keep going. Okay, the guys.
There it is. You see it in glass? It's
Yes.
the one all the way on the right.
Uh-huh.
So I was living in Las Vegas and with my ex-husband and my daughter, and we had moved there, and I had stopped for a little while doing glass. I dragged everything from New York, including my huge kiln. And that painting, I loved that painting because I just loved that painting. And I can go back and tell you where that painting came from because I actually posted previous paintings to that. I literally took a piece of glass, 18 by 24 inches, the size of the painting. I put the glass on top of the painting. Glass line paints had just come out. And I had those little pen tips.
Uh-huh.
And I drew those guys. I literally traced my own work with glass line paints and colored that whole thing in with Frit.
Wow.
And my ex just loved it. He loved it. And so he was teaching himself how to weld, and he welded a stand for me. He welded all those stands that you see there. He did incredible welding for me.
Really nice.
Yeah. One thing I wish I still had. I wish I still had that. But I ended up making a whole bunch of work. I just got on a tear. I made that piece. I love the way it came out. So I made a whole bunch of work. And I went on warm glass. Do any of you know warm glass?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So I used to frequent warm glass all the time, as we did before Facebook was around. And I posted pictures of what I was doing on warm glass and got tremendous response. I got 3 pages of response for this one piece. And I actually ended up selling 2 pieces to glass artists on warm glass.
Oh, how fun.
But I was just, what do I do? Like, people were saying, where do you sell? What are you in galleries? And I wasn't. I had no knowledge at all. I didn't know what to do. And so I had a couple of people email me and say, this is what you do. This is how you do it. You should send pictures of your work in an email to galleries, pick out galleries that are good. These are galleries that are good. These are galleries that are bad. This is where you should look. I mean, super, super helpful. And and in the subject bar, just write glass artist seeking representation. So that's what I did. And because we lived in Las Vegas, I knew that Lake Las Vegas, I don't know if any of you know, but Lake Las Vegas is where all the movie stars live. It's like the Hollywood of Vegas, because it's like where it's like where Celine Dion has her house when she's doing her residency there, and Elton John has a house, and Britney Spears. That's where they all live. And it is southeast of Vegas, just a little bit. So it's like 40 minutes outside of the main part of Vegas. And there was a glass gallery there. So I thought, okay, it was the only one around. Vegas is actually devoid of art. And I sent them a picture. They called me up and they said, oh, we would love to take your work. We'll take 5 of your pieces. So my husband and I were just like, okay, well, I had like a dozen pieces at that time. I had no idea what to bring, what not to bring. So we literally loaded up our car, our minivan, with a bunch of stuff, and they took 6 pieces and sold them in 3 weeks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They were out of this series?
This piece, and then pieces that I made, right? Yeah, a series, I guess. A real learning lesson, because I learned much later on. So when you go into a gallery, you price the work, you tell them what you want for the work, and then in an honest gallery, I have learned since that it's either 50-50 is the typical thing. So they'll mark it up 50%. Or, better artists get 60-40. In really high end, it's 70-30. So I was expecting 50-50. Not what happened. This piece I priced at $700. They sold it for $21. And they did it to all $2,100. And they did it to all of my other work. They tripled all the prices and sold them in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They have since gone out of business because so many artists complained. So many artists. And they had galleries in Hawaii and Las Vegas and all these different tourist places. They had galleries, but they went under.
Wow.
It was a huge lesson. It was a huge, huge lesson. Yeah. And so after that, I got into the piece that's all the way on the left on your screen is called Warrior, one of my favorite pieces ever. I got into Pismo, which was a really great gallery in Denver, Colorado.
Denver. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, it was beautiful, but Sandy, she retired.
Sandy Sardello, right?
Yep, Sandy Sardello. She retired and she went to Pismo, which is California, Pismo Beach, and closed the gallery. But yeah, I was thrilled to get into that gallery, and that piece is the thrill of my life because she had taken in a bunch of my work, and it was all on the shelves, and she had sold a few pieces and asked me for more, and that piece apparently came into the gallery, and as they were unwrapping it, somebody saw it and bought it. So that's like the biggest thrill I ever had.
It's amazing work.
No, that piece I really like.
So can we scroll back a little bit? And
oh gosh, yeah.
We have a question too.
Yeah.
Candace is asking, when you say that you learned a lesson, how did you apply that lesson afterwards?
I learned that I undervalue myself have always undervalued myself. I know I still do it to this day. I don't feel like I deserve the price that I would put on them. So I have to have other people help me. That's the lesson that I learned. That
Yeah.
I have to have other people help me put a price on something to sell it, because I just feel like I look at stuff and I'm just like, no one's gonna like this. If I could take this and move this to my garage, you would see the pile of work I have. I have an incredible pile of work in my garage that I have not sold because I don't have enough self-confidence.
Oh,
That's
sorry
my
about
biggest.
we had a question from Leah. She said, did you get 50% of the higher prices, or was it the 700?
Oh no, I got $700. They sold it. No, they took 2/3. That was the thing that was bad about that. Yeah, is they tripled every price and they got 2/3 of the price.
Wow.
And that's why they ended up closing, because so many artists complained. And
Wow.
I had artists, I was such a newbie. I had artists emailing me and saying, take your stuff out of the gallery, because that's just robbery, you know.
Wow.
But the lesson that I learned was that my stuff was worth more than I thought.
Right.
That was huge to me. I just was like, wow. I had no idea that people would want my art. The piece that is the second from the left, it's the biggest piece actually on the page. Came after, probably came a year later, and that was a custom piece. Those people called me up. They found me in the gallery in Hawaii, because they had put some of my stuff in Hawaii in this gallery that was tripling the prices. They had seen my work and asked me to make a custom piece for them. So it's two people. You can't see it because it's but it's a man and a woman. And they were from San Francisco. They collect art, and they told me that they had a shelf built. And so that piece was 18 by 24 inches. My husband built a beautiful welded stand for it to put it on their shelf. They had a specific place that they made for that piece. That was amazing. The piece next to it it says Shields. That's actually 3 pieces. And I wish I had a photograph of it in the stand that he had built for it, because it was an exquisite stand.
How many times are these fired?
Oh my gosh. Many. They're all
Many?
at least an inch thick.
Oh my,
And
really?
yes. So what I do in all 90% of my work, I fire it. And you probably saw me do this at Pilchuck, although I didn't really I only worked on 2 little pieces that were small.
Mm-hmm.
I draw with the paint pens on one side of the glass. I usually use at least 3 or 4 pieces of glass, and I draw on one side, and then I flip them over. I fire them, I flip them over, and I draw on the other side. I add color and stuff first time, flip it over, draw it again. So these pieces are drawn many, many times and fired many times. They probably take me a month.
Oh, wow.
To make one. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Can I keep going back?
Yeah, sure. This couple that's there, that's not the little ones that are on the right side now.
Oops, sorry, too far.
Oh, that's okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That was one of 3. It was a triptych, and it was 3 pieces that stood in a frame.
Uh-huh.
And again, those are on French vanilla.
Uh-huh.
One of my favorites.
What did your life drawing instructors think of your technique?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question. I should ask them. I should show you some life drawing photos.
These
Yeah.
are just so fun. They're weird and fun and touching in a way.
They always feel like fragile people to me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think that they I tend to embellish them as if they are strong, but a lot of it I think is a facade of sorts
Interesting.
in trying to make them look like. So if you go to the left again, you'll see there's a guy with a shield. I started doing these pieces with shields, like protection. They needed protection.
Mm.
And so these pieces, this green guy's actually hanging in my studio. I thought of them after I had gone to Paris. I thought of them sort of like, how when you go in Paris and in much of France, a lot of the churches have gargoyles.
Mm-hmm.
And the gargoyles was supposed to ward off the evil spirits. And that's how I thought of these guys. Like
Yeah.
I made this series, I had 4 of them, and I made them with the thought of you put them by your doorway.
Yeah.
So that they protect you from any evil spirits coming in your house.
Yeah, they're fabulous.
Thanks.
Are these thick pieces, Carol? Are they?
Those are wall hangings, and they're probably 1/2 an inch thick.
Very nice.
So this guy, Kim, I made the guy who's next to like the drawing. I actually put some of these. This from the left on is probably going to be all pictures I put up today.
Oh,
Yeah.
So we're the first.
So yeah, you'll see the guy on the left is just a detail. That's how I start out. And there's probably 3 or 4 layers of glass there that I drew on. I draw the same guy over and over again. I'll like draw him with Sharpie.
right.
And then I'll go back with a paint pen and I'll draw him again. And then I'll take another piece of glass and I'll draw him again. Several times. And then I add colors, frits and powders in between. Sometimes just big pieces of glass. But the guy that is next to him, he's opaline.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say, looks like opaline.
And so, yeah, one of the things that I did at Pilchuck was I was about 3 weeks before I went to Pilchuck, my husband told me that he wanted a divorce.
Ooh.
And when I got there, it seemed like the whole side of the studio was in various stages of relationship breakdowns. I think you were on our side, but I think you skipped it. You were safe. I think it actually ended with me because Valerie Adams was behind me and she's very happily married. But I sat with Flo, who is still a very good friend to this day.
Yeah.
And Flo had just gotten a divorce. And then the table before her, no, it actually skipped Gloria.
Right.
Gloria is still happily married. But Catherine Newell was divorced. It was just like all these, and Lisa Allen.
Lisa Allen, yeah.
Lisa Allen found out that week while she was there that she discovered that her husband was cheating on her, and she found 2,600 text messages. Yeah, it was a crazy week. It was a crazy, crazy week. But so one of the things that for me, my work was, I felt I was feeling very, very fragile and broken. And my soon-to-be ex-husband was the one who was making all the stands for my work. And so I didn't know what to do. I hadn't ever made a wall piece. Everything was freestanding. Everything was to be looked at from all the sides. And so that was one of the things that I talked with. No, Pilchuck is actually I wish I could go back. Pilchuck's the best place on earth. It's the best place on earth. But I talked to, our facilitators were Richard Parrish and Steve Klein. And so I had long, lengthy conversations about, making my work stand up on its own was my intention. And so I made fences. And I made pieces that were wedge shaped that could stand up on their own. So yeah, if you go all the way, and then those, these two pieces that are bent, that's what I went home and made.
So I'm just gonna keep backing up until we look at your little studies.
Yep, I
That's
went
good.
and I made, that's where the wire came in. This first one, this one, the second from the left right now, that was the first fence that I made. And I wove all the wire. It was a lesson that I learned in firing. But it's sitting here on my desk. I absolutely love that piece of glass. To me, that piece of glass like has my heart in it, because it was, I learned so many things about firing in it, because I had never fired with wire before. And it was supposed to be, yes, it's steel wire. It's actually, it was my husband's wire. He's an avid motorcyclist. And so it's high temp motorcycle. It's high temp engine wire.
Oh, wow.
So I knew it was going to work. I don't know what prompted me to say, oh, can I, have your wire? But this piece I actually made before I went to Pilchuck, like maybe 2 weeks before I went to Pilchuck. And what I had done was I cut the pieces of glass. So that's only 2 layers of glass. I cut them and I wove all this wire together, and the wire actually goes all the way to the bottom of those pieces. But then I drew with the glass paints. I drew as if it was wire on the glass. And so, and I do that in all of the fences since. But I wove all the wire together. All that top fence piece is all woven when it was fired flat. And I didn't think about, the wire and the glass are going to have 2 different expansion temperatures, and they're not going to bend as much. The wire is not going to bend as much as the glass. And so when the way that I shaped it was I just crumpled up a fiber blanket, and I kind of draped the piece across that. And so again, I'm sorry you can't zoom in on the photo. I could show you the piece, actually. I have it sitting here. I could show you that the piece is actually bent. It's all pulled where the wire did not bend the same way that the glass did, because glass kind of becomes like, honey.
Interesting.
And sugar. And the wire doesn't do that. And so it has all these beautiful little bends and pulls in it. So it's my favorite little piece of glass. But then I went on and experimented with that, and then went to Pilchuck like 2 weeks later and was trying to, as Steve Klein said to me, you're trying to find a way to stand up on your own. And he saw the fences as me trying to build protection around myself, and that it was, yeah. but that
You know
it
what I-
doesn't do, it's not doing a very good job of being, strong and protective.
You know what I love about this piece with the two little blue panels?
That's right here.
Is it really?
Yeah, I took that photograph this afternoon.
Oh, how fun.
I love that piece.
I love the little wraps and the curlicues,
Yeah.
and those are so much part of your line work.
Yeah.
That kind of linear whimsy. I just love this.
Thanks. I do that, and I suppose it does look whimsical, but I've always done that because I'm always afraid it's going to catch on something, and I don't want it to appear like it's sharp, like it wants to hurt you.
Uh-huh.
So I always curled
Yeah.
everything so it's,
Oh,
I don't know, I didn't want it to look like it's
yeah.
offensive.
Right. It looks really approachable. It's very, I don't know. There's something really lighthearted about it to me.
Hmm.
So I'm going to go back a little bit. So talk to us about the glass now that resembles the painting in intent, if not in technique.
So you made me think, in putting up all these pictures about, you look at, it makes you look at your own work differently and from a different perspective. And so like the piece there, that's called 23 Waves, which is, I named
sorry.
my,
My bad.
that's okay. I named for my nephew, but I realized in putting up all of these, in looking at all of these, because these are, most of these are sold, they're gone. But in doing them and in looking at my paintings, I realized that I still am making fences. I'm just making them in different, or
Oh, wow.
wall in different ways.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see it now.
I know, I did today. I saw that today. I was like, wow. I've been doing this for a long time. I have a thing about either, I don't know, walling myself in or walling people out, or I don't know. I think that I'm saying something. I just probably
How
should
long
see a
ago
therapist.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we got a delay down here at the beach. How long since you started doing the fence pieces?
The fence pieces I probably started in 2009.
Mm.
These, somebody asked how thick, these are wall pieces. So these are probably the thickest pieces that I've made. These pieces are maybe 3/8 of an inch.
How big?
The piece on the diptych on the left is, each panel I believe is 16 by 19.
Mhm.
And then the square ones are about 14 inches square. And they get slightly larger as you go to the right.
Uh-huh. I love the one on the left. I just love it.
Thank you, Candace.
Oh.
I love it.
Yes, I still use glass line paints, and I don't care what anybody says about them. I think they're fabulous. I think they're fabulous, and if you want them to come out shiny and not cap them, just sprinkle a little fine powder on them, and they come out fabulous. I just want to say that the picture that is the third one from the left, that is a horrible photograph. That is a very, very vivid piece that I was very sad to sell.
Oh,
Because it's one of those pieces, if you know neon lavender, then you know what it can do. And I just feel like unless you sell that to somebody who knows what that glass can do, they're going to hang it in one place and never understand that, wow, this thing could look so different if I put it in a room that gets different light at different
Right.
times of the day. But
Right.
it is it's much more vivid than that. That's a terrible photo that I need to take down. But yeah, the middle of that is really pretty. That yeah, I was sad to sell that piece.
So are
Don't
these
you feel like, I mean, I have to ask, don't you feel like when you make something, it's like a piece of you?
Yeah.
It's, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like part of me is happy that I haven't sold a lot of work. And then the other part of me is like, oh, I wish I could sell my work.
Right?
So
Carol,
are
we
you
have another
mixing
question.
Fritz and
Kirsten.
powders with the glass line?
I'm sorry, say that
Are
again.
you mixing Fritz and powders with the glass line?
Yes. Yeah, I do a lot of, yeah.
Okay.
I'm very sloppy. And then I do a lot of like the piece that's on the left right now. That piece, I was very sad that it didn't sell for a long time, and then I was sad when it sold. But, I don't know if any of you know an artist in Portland here. Her name's Abby Spring, but she's a good friend, and she introduced me to enamels and painting with them. She actually did a little residency at I don't even think it's still open. There was a craft museum here. I think it's closed. But she was using these and inviting people to come in and just like make little glass panels. And so, of course, I went in like every day. And she taught me how to use these fabulous paints, which I buy all the time now. Yeah, so that was one of the first pieces that I did, but it was very much a crossover to painting the way I paint. That was a thrilling piece to make. But I built on top of it, there's like 3 layers of painted glass, and then on the top of it, I started doing these little strips of glass, much like in the piece that I was just talking about, the neon lavender, with the neo lavender. I took little pieces of glass and was putting them on top, just trying to make things 3-dimensional. That's how I paint. I try to build things up, and I'm sure it comes from learning architecture. Trying to make spaces rather than a flat surface that you're just looking at. I think that's always been an underlying intention.
So Carol, do you ever look at a finished painting or a finished piece of glass work and say, oh, I should try that in paint? It looks so good in glass. Maybe
All the time. All the time. Constantly, I go back and forth. I have 2 studios. I have a painting studio in my house that I now share with my daughter, who is an incredible artist, and going to school for art right now.
Good for her.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
And then I have my garage, which is a 2-car garage that has no cars, and it's just my glass studio. So, yeah.
Well, there are a couple of questions, Carol. Let's see, Kirsten had asked, is there any stringer used in the pieces that you just said had glass line? Do you use any stringer?
I do now, but I don't think in any of my photos is there stringer. There are strips of glass and there are little pieces of glass. But I have I've been pulling glass probably for maybe a year, and I started out just doing vitrograph pulls where you could use the lines, and I was teaching for a long time. For like 7 years, I taught here for the park system, but the park system is now closed, and so I lost my job. But I used to pull stringer just to bring as an element of glass for my classes. And I have since joined a group, probably, like I said, about a year ago, I joined a group on Facebook, learning how to make Murini pulls. And so I've been doing that. So I have been making leaves and flowers. And last night or 2 nights ago, I'm teaching a class tomorrow at the church that I work in. and we're going to do Christmas ornaments. And so I pulled candy cane stuff. But in doing the Vitrograph stuff, I started making, and I have no photographs of them. They're in my studio. I have panels that I've made that look like grass, doing them that way, using the stringer that way.
Very cool. We had a second question too. What Leah asked, what kind of enamels do you use? Or do you prefer?
I have a combination that I use. I have bought Ferro from Bullseye because they sell nice big, like they're 1 pound jars of frit. They sell Ferro enamels, but they sell a very limited color selection. I think it's like blue, white, and black.
Wow.
So I've bought, but it's a good price. It's actually a good deal because you get more for it's a good price. I've been buying in fact, I just bought a whole bunch. I buy them from Warm Glass, 2-ounce jars from Brad on Warm Glass, and those are Thompson enamels, I believe. I've used the Color Line. I have a whole bunch of bottles of Color Line because I actually did Color Line beta testing for Bullseye. So I have a bunch of those. I don't really care for them.
Really?
Yeah, the red turns brown.
The red's weird.
And the blacks tend to crack. And yeah, they're just and I have Color Line, and I have Color Line. I got to tell you, I have Color Line that I probably bought 10 years ago, and they can be hard as a rock, and you can still reconstitute them, and they still work like a charm.
Huh.
So, but my main barometer is how their black goes, because I draw with it. So if you have a good black, then I'll look into your other colors. If you don't have a good black, I don't want to go. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's just too expensive, to take a chance and then have them come out like brown when you want red.
Or pale gray. Yeah.
So.
I really like the one second from the left. It makes me think of water and a very impressionistic look at the surface of water. And I just want to dive in.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big piece. That's 18 by 24 inches.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And it's probably half an inch thick. And it is one of the first pieces that I did after buying enamels.
Uh-huh.
And I used it very much because I knew nothing of them other than what Abby had shown me. So and Abby is a painter. Abby started out as a painter.
I did not know that.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. She's a fabulous painter. And so I used them as, I just treated everything like it was a painting. And the thing that I find that I do, that I struggle with when I'm going back and forth, because I go back and forth a lot between painting and glass. I try very much to do it, like within a week, go back and forth. But I find that what I'm thinking in my head, I could build it if I just can put another layer on top of this. No, I'm on a canvas. So I have to figure out, okay, so if I use this, cold wax medium, I can then let that dry and get another, layer on there. Glass, I can just literally lay another piece of glass on top of it.
Uh-huh. How do you know when it's done?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I ruin it.
That's a problem I have with the abstract work. I don't know when to stop.
Yep. Yep.
If you do one firing too many or one layer too many, then you
Yeah.
have lost the magic.
Ugh. And you get so mad at the piece. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
So I have this mantra that I tell my students: there's no garbage in glass. So even if you hate the piece, you can break it up with a hammer, smash it into little puddles, and make something with it.
Yep.
That's
So
great.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You can't do that with a painting though. You have to wait for it to dry and then just start all over.
Right? Tear it up and weave it. Carol, is that Ferro? Is it Ferro you mentioned?
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah. I don't even know if it's listed on Bullseye's website. I know that they sell them in the store here.
Okay. I just put a link to Ferro.
Oh, very cool.
Same one, but it's the actual company website. They got some cool stuff. Digital printing on roof tiles, of all things.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, looks pretty crazy.
I bought them because, and they started selling them because Stacy Smith, who used to work at Bullseye,
Uh-huh.
did a whole powder printing
Uh-huh.
class that I took there. And I think that's why they started selling them. They sell printing stuff there now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I have a question about the piece on the far right. In
Oh,
the
yeah.
in the upper quarter and the lower quarter, it looks like you have scraped through something to get your lyrical lines. And so I'm not sure what you were scraping through. Was that layers of powder or
Paint.
layers of enamel?
Layers of enamel. So what?
Okay.
So a lot of times it's a combination of the two. I tend to when I paint, I tend to paint with a palette knife and scrape. So I try often to do that with a on glass too. And so sorry, my daughter's talking to me. So when I paint on glass, I have these beautiful, they're down in my studio. I have these beautiful rubber tipped paintbrushes. They're not
Yeah.
paintbrushes, but they're kind of like rubber
Yeah.
spatulas for painting.
They're a little
And
bendy.
so- yeah, I love them. I love them, love them. And so I wear them out. I love them so much. And so I have different sizes. I have ones down to like dental size, up to like an inch and a half thick, an inch and a half wide.
Uh-huh.
But I can draw with them. And so a lot of times what I'll do is I will paint on the glass. I'll just lay down a whole color field or more, several color fields. And then I will go back in and sort of remove it by drawing on them, just scribbling with these rubber tipped paintbrushes. And I do this, and I do the same thing with metal palette knives on a
And
canvas.
then do you work both sides of the glass?
Yes.
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, yes. Yes. Whether it's a lot of times what I'll do is I'll fire the thing once, I'll tack fire it, and then I'll work on the other side when it comes out.
Very cool. If anybody's interested, I found Warm Glass actually has 20 different colors.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I put a link in the chat, so if anybody
They are
wants that
totally
link,
worth it. They're worth it. They're wonderful, wonderful paints.
Are they
The
water-based?
colors are really pretty.
Are they water-based?
Yes. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So they're water-based, and then so you start out by mixing them with a medium that they also sell, which I'm sure that is something that I could make, because I understand that somebody told me once that it's the equivalent of like soda syrup, like
oh,
flat soda or
Sugar
something.
and water?
okay, this one
Yeah.
actually says these are powder form to be mixed with
Yeah,
a
they're powder
binder.
formed, but then there's something on there that you buy also, and I forget what it's called.
Oh, one of
Um,
them is Clearfire that we use for enameling.
No, it's not Clearfire. It's the other thing.
There's A13 acrylic medium, gum Arabic.
It's it's the acrylic medium.
Gotcha. I'll put a link.
Yeah, and I buy that, and then I buy the powders. But what you do is you take a little scoop of the powder, put it into whatever. I use jars. I always use little plastic jars similar to what they sell them in. They'll actually sell you jars also if you want.
Got it.
But I put them in a little jar. I take a little scoop of the powder, put it in the jar, and then I just squirt a little of that A13 on it, maybe half a teaspoon of it, according to if I've put a teaspoon and a half of powder. I mix that till it's like a paste, and then I add water to the consistency that I want. And I'm a very messy person in my studio, but one of the things that I do is I do not wash my brushes when I am using these paints. I use a different brush for every color. And I don't like to, I'm very cheap. I don't like the paint to go away, so I don't wash the brush. I literally let it dry, because all you have to do is stick it back into the container and reconstitute, and you get the paint that's on the brush, rather than washing all the paint away, So, yeah.
Oh, and we did have a question we missed earlier from Howler Merritt. Have you used, it says Resusha? I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah, the Roche paints. No, I haven't used them, but I hear that they're mostly for I want to say enameling. My friend Cynthia's probably used them because she's been doing enameling stuff. But no, I haven't tried them.
I'm doing a tutorial on ruche enamels
Oh yeah.
and line work. Uh-huh.
Well, you'll have to let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
Don't you have to build up an outline for them?
I don't
And
do
pull
it that
them in?
way. I'm not very enamel savvy.
Yeah, me neither.
But I know how to make some pretty lines. So it's basically, embellishing glass with black lines in kind of a Zentangle sort of way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, very cool.
So I use a calligrapher's pen that's basically, like a little funnel on a stick.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
You fill the funnel. Yeah.
The way you do with gold.
I don't know.
Oh, have you ever done the what is it called? I haven't used it in years. The 24 karat gold.
Yeah.
No.
It comes with this little teeny tiny funnel that's on a stick. They use it as a pen.
Yeah. Sounds like the similar pen, but I didn't know that you could put gold through it.
Yeah, there's a gold. Yeah, there's a liquid gold. Yeah, yes. Hanovia. Hanovia, is that how you say that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I actually still have some, but I haven't used it in years. I actually made a piece. So do any of you know Cynthia Morgan?
Know of her.
So Cynthia Morgan, Cynthia is, she's a pretty awesome person. She is one of the people, I met her on Warm Glass because she's one of the people who bought one of my first pieces. Sight unseen, she didn't know me, but she saw the piece and she bought it, which was amazing. And then when I was moving out of Las Vegas and was thinking of moving to Portland, she said, "Oh, you should come here and stay at my house and I'll show you around Portland." And I knew her from Warm Glass. I mean,
Wow.
Yeah. And she's been a good friend ever since. She's amazing. But the piece that she bought from me is called Girl Gold, and it's actually drawn with 24 karat gold.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I just found something. Hanovia products have been discontinued by the manufacturer.
Oh. Wow.
I wonder. Here, I'll do a quick search. You guys carry on.
Wow.
So are you talking about, Carol, are you talking about using it as a painting medium, or do you fire it?
The
Is
gold?
Is it a glass technique?
The gold?
Yeah.
I used well, a lot of people used it in glass, and I got my rubber brushes from Blick Art Supply. You can look on Amazon too, they have them too. I don't know what they're called, actually. I have to tell you, I don't know what they're called.
The rubber shapers, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that they're called rubber paintbrushes. I don't know. That's what I call them, because they're just wonderful. But the gold is, I've used it, like I said, it comes in a little teeny tiny bottle. It's probably like a quarter of an ounce. It's very expensive. And it comes with an eyedropper, and it comes with this pen that has a tiny funnel on the end of it, and a wire to clean the little funnel tip. And you take an eyedropper and you put a little drop of the gold in this pen tip, and then you draw with it. That was
And it
how
doesn't fire away?
And then no, it doesn't fire away.
That's amazing.
Yep. I did cap it though. I will say I did cap it. I've never used it uncapped. So it might fire away. That would be terrible if it did fire away, because it's 24 karat gold. So, and I know that they sell it in different, or they used to. Apparently they don't sell it anymore. But they used to sell gold and silver. They used to sell copper, all different kinds. And it was one of those things that, much like the enamels, oh, let me just try this. I have no idea exactly if I'm supposed to be doing this way. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let me just see how this goes.
Right. Just wing it.
That's how I've done a lot of stuff.
The best
With the
stuff comes
wire,
out
I
from
had
just
no
winging it.
idea with the wire. Oh, is this going to work?
Oh.
Okay, let's see. AAE has found another company to replace Hanovia, and they are now selling their gold luster.
Yeah,
I may have to try that.
Let's see who said that. Stella.
That's an AAE?
Yeah, AAE.
Has anybody used gold?
I have, but I haven't used the new company yet.
Oh, okay. And did you cap your gold?
I did not, but I fired it very low.
I used it too, and I didn't cap it.
And did it disappear on you, or?
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
No.
Yeah?
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's pretty
This is
cool
so cool.
stuff. It's just one of those things that, it's so expensive that I don't know for anyone else, but when you're using it, I'm just like,
Yeah.
so
No,
afraid
there
to
isn't-
spill a drop,
Yeah. There's another one too. I know, I don't know if you could use it with glass, but the ceramics one, Duncan calls it a gold overglaze. And I don't know about temperatures or anything like that, but I have heard of somebody trying to use that. And that's
You can
actually-
also use gold leaf. And my ex-husband is a pastry chef. And so he would bring me home food grade gold leaf. And I've used that. And that you have to cap, because it is so thin and so fragile that it will disappear. It will just disappear, but it fires beautifully.
Gotcha. Oh, and then the other answer, we had silicone clay sculpting tools. And I put a link in the chat also. I found some rubber, they were rubber shapers, and they come in 2 different firmnesses, I guess, that you can get. There's somebody put a link up for
Yes,
Dick.
so some of my pieces are like those.
Cool.
And then other ones are much larger. They're longer handled, like a paintbrush.
Right. There's another one. A rubber finishing tool. I got some at Artorama, which I know they sell online, but that's another one. Let me see if Cheap Joe's has it.
You know what I stumbled across on YouTube not real long ago was a young woman who has a channel, and she tests and rates art supplies. And
Oh, wow, that's cool.
yeah, it's really interesting stuff.
She probably pays for her art habit.
She was talking about
Yeah,
how
exactly.
Amazon is coming up with private label art supplies now.
Yep.
And she tested their
Just gonna
colored
take it to the
pencils.
world. Wow.
And she was comparing them to Prismacolor, which is the gold standard and has been
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
dozens of years, and was saying how surprisingly similar they were in terms of color variety, the brilliance of the color as she used it, and how blendable it was for like half the price.
Wow.
And I had no idea that Amazon was doing any of this.
They're kind of into everything. They're taking over the world.
I
Yeah,
think
it
so.
just kills me stuff like that because I follow an artist on Instagram who I was behind on the security line at JFK one year. And I was saying to my sister, to my daughter, I'm like, that's Soraya. She's like, go say hello. I'm like, no, she's famous. she's an incredible artist. Her name is Soraya. Let me see if I can find her. Her name is Soraya Lynn. At least her Instagram name is Soraya Lynn. So she has a website, and it's Soraya or Zaria, Zaria Foreman, FORAMAN.com. She's incredible. She's an incredible artist. If you find her and you could share her, Kim, you should show her work.
Okay, hold on.
Oh.
Zariah.
No H.
Zaria.
FORMAN. She recently got married and is pregnant. She has worked for National Geographic. And the reason I'm telling you this is because she buys handmade pastels. And if you look at her work, she does she draws glaciers.
Yes, I've seen her stuff.
They are
Yes.
so phenomenal.
Yes.
She's literally, one of her drawings, these are all pastel drawings, and one of her drawings, it's so big, it is in the airport in Reykjavik, Iceland.
Wow.
Covers an entire wall.
Wow.
Yeah, she's stunning. Her work is absolutely breathtaking. And all of these works are huge.
I saw one of these in Santa Fe.
If you're on Instagram, you should follow her because she shows you like how big they are. And like I said, right now she's about to have a baby, so she hasn't been posting that much. But her work is so phenomenal. But in terms of getting back to Amazon taking over the world with art supply, she buys handmade pastels to make these. They're handmade for her colors.
Oh, for her. Custom.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they make custom colors. But she has been a rep for them too, because look at isn't that phenomenal?
Golly.
Those are pastel drawings.
That's insane.
She's been to the Antarctic and she takes photos, or she gets photos from National Geographic photographers and then does them inch by inch. And none of them are small. They are huge, huge. She was in Brooklyn, New York, and she recently moved to, I think she's in Washington State now. But yeah.
Wow.
They're just phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey,
But when
Kim,
you tell
I
me
just sent
about,
you-
Amazon taking over and making art supplies, I think of
Right?
people like her that if I could afford to have somebody make my arts, my paint sticks for me, I'd be like,
Kim, if
screw
you check
Amazon.
your text message, I just sent you a link to something I've never seen before. It's called Catalyst Blades. So it looks like rubber shapers on steroids.
Ooh.
Yeah, they have like patterned edges.
Hold on.
Do you see it?
I do.
Since we're using tin cans and string here at the beach. So
Yeah. Hold on.
Yes, those are what I buy. Those are what I have.
Is that what you have?
That's what I
Okay.
have. Yes. I
I'm
love
in-
them. I
I'm in-
absolutely love them. Yeah. So they sell them also as hand paddles too, not on a stick. So if you go to that page, I have like the white ones that
There
are
it
all
is.
the way on the right side, and then they sell them as hand paddles, and with the teeth in them, and I have those.
Gotcha. And that's what Kirsten actually just sent us.
Oh, I love them.
As
I
well.
love them. Absolutely love them. And those
Awesome.
little ones the little ones that you were talking about before, I kind of lost that tab.
Okay, Kat, I'm not sure how to reduce my screen so that I can get to my,
Don't worry about it. It's in
Oh.
the
got it.
it's actually in the chat window as well.
Never
You get
mind
it?
then. Okay.
Yeah, those are great.
Oops.
Kim, are you trying to get out of there?
No, I'm making sure that we didn't leave any stone unturned. Carol, would you talk about this little triptych here with the circle?
I did a bunch of those. I actually didn't put up any. I don't have pictures of other ones that I sold, but yeah, I just we'll be able to pull all the info from the chat. Oh, I don't know. Oh, that's a good idea.
It actually saves them. If we're saving to Zoom, it actually is allowing it.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I use those silicone, whatever they're called, large ones and small ones. Whenever I paint, I am always adding and always subtracting. If you look at the guy that's called waiting, that's on the right side there, that's all glass line paint. Yeah, those two pieces, waiting and shepherd, that's all glass line paints. I made little teeny tiny circles on many layers of glass, like 4 layers of glass. Those things are like an inch thick, those pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, those are probably a year after Pilchuck, where I started making things to stand up on their own. But yeah, those are all glass line paints. And I don't have pictures up, but they're drawn on both sides. So there's different drawings on the other side of those.
I like the depth. If anybody is interested, if you're in the group chat window, down at the bottom on the right-hand side, there's 3 little dots. If you click on that, it will allow you to save the chat. So within the chat window, if you are in the chat window, the 3 dots allow you to save it.
It is on a combination of Tecta and Clear. Yeah. One of those pieces I actually have right here. And it's probably, so the core of it is vanilla. And then it's got 1 layer of vanilla drawn on both sides. And then it's got what looks like 3 layers on the back of Tecta and 2 on the front. So it's 6 layers of glass and weighs a ton.
How tall is it?
It's like 11 inches tall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the color.
I love French vanilla because it's like drawing on parchment. I just love that stuff.
Yeah.
Now I want to draw. I'm not much of a drawing person, but I think I'm going to try it.
Oh, whatever. You're awesome.
Yeah. Great fun.
I think that you just get inspired when you see other artwork. I have to look at artwork every day.
Oh, yeah.
I really do. Because it just gives you new ideas. My daughter came into me this morning. I'm going to show you this. So my daughter she's currently she goes to FIT, the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, but she's here in Portland learning remotely.
I love that question.
I stayed up all night.
My
Many,
husband,
many, many times.
So
my
for the
husband was
question, for if anybody can't read it, burning question from Kirsten. How did you have time to paint when you were at architecture school?
Yeah, yeah. If you've never gone to architecture school or don't know anyone who has gone, I swear it's the equivalent of law school.
They
Because you
sleep in
can't-
the cubes.
It's so hard. You have design twice a week, which is a 3-hour class, so they don't skip anybody. And you can't cheat, you can't copy because they can see everyone else, you know. So it was hard. It was very tiring, but it was definitely the best 5 years of my life. But talk about getting inspired from other people and seeing other artwork. So as I said, my daughter is currently at the Fashion Institute of Technology, learning here in Portland. And she came into me this morning she has a sculpture class. And she came into me and gave me a little sketch model of the next thing that she's going to do. It's this.
wow.
So it's a 3-dimensional, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a figure.
Mhm.
Kind of sitting, crossed arms,
Yeah.
the head, right? So one of her favorite artists is Alexander Calder.
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, oh my gosh. But I looked at this and went, oh, I can make that in glass. Like that would be so cool to make in glass. And so all day long, it's been sitting here on my desk and I'm thinking, okay, how could I do that?
Extreme slope.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's what looking at art all the time does. It just gives you more ideas, you know?
Yeah. I see on your website that you also have a Pinterest account. I can't wait to go find that because
Yes, I have.
Pinterest
Yeah.
is the place where I go when I get stuck.
Yes, I follow you on Pinterest. You have a million things that I look at all the time. Yes, I do the same thing. I look at Pinterest and then I look at Instagram. I follow a lot of artists on Instagram. I recently opened up an art because my personal Instagram is private. So I recently opened up an art account and started posting. I have very few pictures posted because I literally just started it maybe a month ago. But yeah, following other artists, looking at what is out there, what people are doing, and saving them. I save all my pictures so that I can go back and go, oh, that's great. What did I see in that? That was great.
I used to have to cut this stuff out of magazines and books and stick them in a file.
Right? That's right. That's right.
So now I'm a digital hoarder, not a paper hoarder.
That's right. You the typographer.
Oh,
Wow.
what fun.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
fun.
Jim Schiller, I just want to tell you, since I see your face, I absolutely love your work.
He's not.
He's
Thank
not.
you. Thank you.
I love his work.
I do too, especially the
Yeah.
recent stuff.
Yes, him I follow on Instagram. And I absolutely love that he names all these painters and all these, that I love. All these painters, he does like homages to all these people that I love. So.
You know, as funny as one time we had Fusing Friday and Jim, I guess it's a still photo, but we just thought that Jim didn't blink. Has this photo on there and it was interesting because we were all there and we didn't realize that it was actually a still photo.
Be freaky if it was one of those 3D photos and it moved every once in a while.
Oh, right?
Oh, that's
Right?
weird.
Don't give them any ideas.
I think it'd be way cool.
Right? Yeah. Very cool.
You know, the thing that we've looked at that really catches my eye and makes me, I don't know, it just makes me really happy is this image on the far right with the 4 layers with the layers of drawing on top of it. I can't take my eyes off of that.
I love the movement. I
Yeah,
like depth and movement. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things about glass. Or even you can see on the one on the left, the items that are floating over the French vanilla.
and this almost makes me think I can draw because I can make squiggles. You know,
Well, I
make
think
squiggles
anybody
and
can draw.
I can do design. So
That's
there's
right.
got to be a place where those things will meet in the middle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that guy on the right, I kind of put there because of that, just because I think it's hard to explain what the
Uh-huh.
way that I work.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
very
actually have a
helpful.
few more of those, but
Yeah, really, really beautiful.
Carol, have
Thanks.
you only used the high temp engine wire? Have you ever used copper or anything else?
I have not been able to replace the exact wire that he had gotten for me. So I have bought several different wires throughout the years. Just high temp, they're supposed to be fusing wires. They all spalled. There's nothing like the wire that I originally used. Absolutely nothing. And I know it had a specific name that I don't know the name of it, but I have done a search on high temp motor wire. It's motor wire. It's wire that can be used in an engine, a car engine, that can withstand the heat and doesn't, deform or spalled.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There it is. High temperature motor wire.
there you go. It's not cheap, right?
No, I found it on wire and cable. Let's see. Oh, looking. Oh,
I love
and of
that you
course,
do these little searches as we're talking.
I know.
Awesome.
I've been banned from Googling at the kitchen table. I'm not allowed to Google at the table.
I
I
think
don't
that's
know why they.
a full request.
What's what? At least I don't Zoom at the dinner table. So
Oh,
that is interesting. It looks like it's multi threads of wire, though. Kind of like a.
It's stranded wire.
Yeah, it looks like a stranded wire.
No, not the wire that I used.
Yeah.
And it came on a big spool too, so it wasn't
Yeah,
cheap. I remember that it wasn't cheap.
You don't know the gauge of it, do you?
I'm gonna guess it's probably 18 around there.
Okay.
Not
ask
thick
I'll
that
ask
it
John
won't
if
thin.
he knows of anything.
Yeah, 16 is too thick. I think it's 18, 20 tops.
Okay. It must have been fairly soft.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, McMaster Car, I believe that's where we got it.
McMaster?
Yeah, McMaster Car has. Yeah, I guess I'll just have to bite the bullet one day and ask him. We don't really talk. But no, it's not the one that they're showing. 'Cause it wasn't wrapped. It was just plain metal wire.
It wasn't shrouded in anything.
No, nothing.
Huh.
Yeah.
I found another
So
one
I've
that's like.
since used like fusing wire. You can buy fusing wire, but
Yeah.
the difference is the amount. This was, came on a big spool, and I mean, granted, it was, 12 years ago, but I mean, it was a big spool of wire, and that lasted me a really long time. And it was probably $30 for the roll back then. So, but now, I mean, you buy I just bought recently 2 things of wire, and they're tiny. I mean, geez. They're
Now,
tiny.
here's a question. It's not called motor winding wire, is it?
No, that was, I mean, I'm just going by the name that he had told me that it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I found one at McMaster-Carr called motor winding wire, and that's the only thing that doesn't have sheathing on it.
Oh, well, let me look at that.
It says the maximum temp is 390 Fahrenheit, but still, I guess you
That
could.
doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, because I full fuse it.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who use wire in glass.
Well, it would also soften. It probably anneals and gets softer, which is different. Annealing wire in metal is different than annealing in glass. Makes it soft.
Yeah,
That
so
always threw me off.
you can get fusing wire, but you get like I said, 10 feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
But couldn't you use copper wire?
I have used copper wire, but if you go all the way to the left to the wire pieces that I have there, I think the 2 latest pieces that I made, where I had cut the glass years ago, and they were sitting around for a very long time, and I put the wire and fired them. They are both not those. Yeah,
Keep going.
those 2 pieces, I believe, and I can go look at them, but those 2 pieces I believe I did with, the wire looks copper now. It didn't when I fired them,
Really?
but it's copper. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's copper looking.
Gorgeous. I think the photo is nice how it captures the light coming through it as well.
I love those pieces.
They're happy.
Yeah, I have to keep doing that. I really like making them. They're fun to make. They're very therapeutic.
Mm.
What I don't like about these 2 pieces, though, is that I made them on a form, as opposed to the other ones that I made on fiber blanket. These were done on a mold, so I don't like them. They're too uniform. I like the I don't know, the ruggedness, the like that. That's just, I just made that on crumpled up fiber blanket.
I've never used fiber blanket.
Oh, I love it. I have a piece that I've had for like 20 years, more than that.
I like how irregular it is.
Exactly.
Ooh.
That's exactly what I like.
Jim has just given us a gift in the chat window.
Oh, yeah, I have that. But again, that's exactly what I'm using, the chromium wire. But again, the price difference is incredible. And it doesn't fire the way that this original wire worked for me.
And this doesn't leave a residue or anything in the kiln?
The cheaper wires do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
but like this piece in the middle now, no. It started out black and it stayed black, and it just was beautiful.
Wow, if you look at the description on Amazon here, it says it's for pyrotechnic ignition, electronic cigarettes, power rocket motor and recovery ejection charge ignition.
Wow.
That's pretty esoteric stuff.
Right? It's like, Jim, what have you been doing in your spare time that we don't know about?
That's the same wire, that the thin wire that you use in glass fusing. It just in bigger gauges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can do pyrotechnic ignition.
I know that I was excited about that.
That's crazy.
It's on my to-do list for tomorrow.
I know. It's a new
Pyrotechnic.
tutorial, right, Kim?
You can do some pyrotechnics tomorrow?
Sure.
Hey, Carol,
Yeah.
would you talk about how it looks like you've got some that are just, so concentrated color, and then some that are so muted, and the wires, and then just the color fields, kind of the progression of how you went through all those things?
The piece that is on the left, and I actually have one that I didn't photograph, but the piece that is on the left is about 3/4 of an inch thick. It is sheets of opaline glass, and then it has dark amber, large coarse frit. I love that piece. The piece that's in the middle is clear sheet. It's only 2 layers of glass. I put the wire in between it, and then I drew with the glass line paints. And it's got frit at the top and the bottom of it. And then I dusted clear powder over the whole thing. Why I did it like that, I don't know. The guy on the right, which was just like crazy little fun piece that I did, is all frit. It's 2 pieces of glass and tons of frit and tons of wire. And yeah, I just tried to bury the wire in frit. I know I'm supposed to leave. Yeah. I have to leave soon. I have to go pick up sushi.
There were 2 kind of plain color field pieces, like between the wires, what we're looking at, and then before we got to the, like there, that don't look like they have quite the texture to them, so you went from the wire to the color, to these color fields, and then to the texture.
Yeah. So the 2 on the left, those 2 long pieces that are on the left,
Yeah.
I actually just photographed today, so I'm very sorry that they're bad photos. But I started recently doing, I bought an etching pen. So I have a glass friend who now lives in Australia. Her name is Amy, geez, I don't remember her full name. Because I know her married name. Anyway, she was using an etching pen. And so I was like, oh, I need to get one of those. So I don't have a good photo. Let me see if I can share a photo with you. So maybe I can send, Kim, maybe I can send this to you. Can I send you a picture?
Yes. I can't seem to make this window go away. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute.
Yes.
Okay. Are you emailing me, Carol?
I can. What? Give me an email to send it to.
You could also add it to the file. There's in the chat window, there's a file button.
Oh, let me see.
And then you can go to your computer and upload an image.
Ah.
Oh, and I did find out why the nichrome wire works. It says it has low oxidation properties, which is I guess what causes it to flake off things that make our glass ugly. Like copper, if you heat it, it has that spalling. It says it's used in space heaters.
Oh, really?
Yep. Not like outer space, but you know, small heaters.
Space Force.
Which we won't need this year. What was it today? Like 80 degrees in Texas? Oh my
Oh
God.
my gosh.
We're here at the beach. People are in swimsuits, like laying out on the beach. Insane.
So do you see that picture?
I do not.
It's loading. I
Okay.
clicked on it and it's loading.
I see it.
Clicked open. Yeah, baby. So what's an etching, what did you call it? An etching pen? What's that?
It's an etching pen. It's just a little metal tipped pen.
Like a stylus?
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
Let me see if I can.
Where did I?
Can you guys see that?
Oh, here we go.
I just shared it.
Look at that.
So that's a detail of one of the pieces that I've, so those two pieces that you were looking at before have this on them. As I said, they were terrible photos. But yeah, they're all done like that.
So are you etching on the top layer of glass?
Yes, after I fire it. This is all after it's all fired.
And so you're basically scratching it and scraping it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a diamond point on it?
Yes. I don't know if it's a diamond point or it's just fine metal point.
But it's not motorized. It's one of the ones that's actually.
No. Actually, I'm thinking of buying a Dremel so that I can make wider lines.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say you can use a Dremel engraver.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was thinking about of looking into those. I was
Probably
gonna buy
dental tools would work too. Right?
So
This is really
I'm sorry?
Dental tools might work too.
No, they're not as strong as this is. This is like a real heavy duty. It's heavy, actually. It's a heavy weighted,
Oh, okay.
but it's also tiring.
Would
Because
you
you're using a lot of pressure to do it. So yeah.
Did you fire it again to keep anything additional from flaking off, or was it good?
So I did a little, when I bought it, and I simply bought it because my friend Amy was using it. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Let me get one of those. And I tested it I just did it on a little piece of clear glass, and then I fired it, and you can still see the lines. They're not as prominent. They fade a little bit according to how high you fire it. So I don't, I'm just literally, I've done 3 pieces with it. So I'm still testing.
interesting.
I'm thinking of asking Bob Heath if I could come over and use his sandblaster and maybe go over it with a coating of a layer of sandblasting to sort of dig into the whole surface a little deep. And I think that might come out nice. He has 2 really nice sandblasters.
They're a good thing to have.
Yes, and he lives like 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes for me. So yeah, I had one and I got rid of it. So no space.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, I hate to, this has been lovely. I really appreciate that you guys all were interested in the stuff that I do.
Thank you so much.
And I have to feed my kid, so I gotta go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, Carol. We appreciate it. And oh, and somebody also mentioned as far as the transcript on the chat, if you have an iPad, you actually can't save it. So I'll put it up on my website on the Fusing Friday. I'll put a link up there to the chat transcript. So you can see that if anybody needs those links.
Very cool.
I'll save that before we go.
Okay. And if you
Yeah.
talk about me behind my back, you need to send me the transcript.
That's
Yes,
reasonable.
Kim's recording. No, it was awesome. I feel inspired.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, Carol. You do amazing
Thank you
work.
very
Thank you
much.
for your time.
Good.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Okay. Have a good night.
Take care.
You guys
Bye.
have a good one.
Wear a mask.